What's up, y'all? Good afternoon. Currently doing my cool down laps with Ash. We're out here at the park. It's pretty hot today, but just grateful. Grateful for a wonderful Saturday. If you guys missed it, UFC, we dominated. I dominated. My picks went 9-2 yesterday. It's a pretty good day, considering the fact that there were 6 upsets. I predicted 5 of them. I'm still really elated by that. Shout out to the MVPs who signed up for the annual membership. You know, we have monthly memberships and then there's annual. If you go to Patreon, you can be an annual member, and we got new annual members yesterday. I saw at least 2, so that was pretty cool. Shout out to Rico Knows. What up, man? Good to see you in the chat. Thanks for being here this afternoon. I'm gonna get home a little later and I'm gonna do a deep dive on a team. I'll probably do a 20 or 30 minute video for YouTube members and Patreon members on a particular team, either K-State or Notre Dame. I still have to do Rutgers as well. There's only like 3 teams left, so I'll be getting those done. I'm gonna do one tonight, and then I'll start doing more hidden gem videos. I think I just recently did Air Force, Akron, and I might have done one more, I don't remember. Sometimes it all kind of, I got to get home and check the database. It's all kind of a blur. A lot going on when you're working in this field and you got all these moving parts across multiple platforms, and it's just me. But I'm so grateful. I'm so blessed. Shout out to you guys. Last night was one of those great nights to be an MVP, man. You like Avery Johnson? He's solid. Yeah, you know, the assumption is Avery Johnson is solid, and that's based upon recruiting rankings and TV talking heads. But from what I've seen of Avery Johnson on a Saturday, nothing I've seen warrants the hype that anybody's been saying. Like, I haven't seen it yet. So until I do, I can't anoint you. And what I'm saying is his passing acumen leaves a lot to be desired right now, at least at the collegiate level. I haven't seen him throw. I'll say this. To this point, he's probably one of the 3 worst starting quarterbacks on a top 25 team, if you consider Kansas State a top 25 team. So one of the 3 worst starting quarterbacks. There's one at Michigan. There's him. And, you know, that's Alex Orji. I don't believe in his passing acumen as well. Like, these are guys that have to prove it, man. They just look like athletes at the position. So if you're high on Avery Johnson, it's based upon somebody else's assessment of his ability to throw, because I haven't seen anything that warrants that type of hype or belief in him. Haven't seen it. And I've done as much film study as I can. What do you look for when evaluating quarterbacks, and how do you value it? Okay, so obviously I look for winners. I want to make sure so like, here's what I'll do. I'll go look at third down. I want to see third down conversions. And this is really when I'm assessing quarterbacks for the NFL draft, more so than high school. Because in high school, you don't really have games. You have huddle film. I don't have games to look over. I just have huddle film. Go. Leave it. Come on. So it's a little different, right? When I'm evaluating high school recruits, I'm looking at athleticism, anticipation throws, if you will, maybe pre-snap reads. Remember, a lot of these high school offenses are not that advanced, and the player's at the mercy of his coach. But you can see some advanced things. I'll tell you an example. Like 3rd and 4. If it's 3rd and 4, and I see a high school team line up with a 5 receiver set or a 4 wide receiver set, and they let that guy throw the ball on 3rd and 4, I truly believe that the coaches believe in his passing acumen. But if it's a quarterback draw, that doesn't really move me, because then that just means if we're short, we're going to go for it on 4th down. So I try to look at situations and try to look at certain things, and anticipation throws are important. Progression reads will let me know if you're a next level quarterback, meaning you snap the ball, you look at your primary receiver, either he's covered or the coverage rolled that way, and now I see your head move to your 2nd and 3rd option at receiver. It's not about stats. Let me just say this. When you see certain quarterbacks and they have 4,000 passing yards, a lot of that can be like a bubble screen and yak yardage. I don't give a shit if you threw for 400 yards in a game. That just tells me the opposition was terrible. Maybe the DBs were bad, something like that. So I look at, I guess, college level throws and scenarios and circumstances. Another example would be like, who's the quarterback? If you're like a quarterback in an air raid system, meaning you made a pre-snap read and you just snap it and throw it. Quick out, quick hitch, just throwing it. I don't get excited about that. That's what happened at Mississippi State, right, with Mike Leach. And that's why those quarterbacks don't translate all that often to the NFL, because it's just not a real thing. So when you look at Washington this year, I feel like they're built that way. Just so we're clear, Washington Huskies this year. I don't like certain quarterbacks who just don't have any role other than to do the job that was given to them at the snap, like at the ball. Like they don't really think for themselves or react. It's just a limited ability. So I look for progression reads, layered throws, meaning over linebackers before safeties. Maybe throwing, I'm going to give you a route, okay? Comebacks are everything. If you as a quarterback know how to throw a comeback and lead your receiver back to you, it's really important. Comebacks matter to me. The velocity on your comebacks. And can you throw to the opposite hash? I want to see throws to the opposite hash, not just throws to the short side of the field or, fades don't move me, bro. Deep ball, there's 50 dudes at home right now that can throw the ball 50 yards. Like that's not it. Yeah, so it's just different, man, when I evaluate quarterbacks. But I would say 80% of what I evaluate in a quarterback is between the ears. Like, I need to evaluate their intellect, their ability to process and read things before the snap. That's the only way to succeed at quarterback. You got to be smart. And if I don't see it, if I just see you're a natural athlete, and you're out there just running around, making plays, I see that every year, bro. It's not going to move me. That's not it. So, yeah, that's what I look for. Such a long, drawn-out question. I apologize, and answer. But it's a deeper evaluation than some people would think. David Pitton says, I saw you on the live yesterday referring to Lebby's Mississippi State offense as group of 5 in the SEC. Could you expand on that because of the different than Arnold in Oklahoma? Yeah, man. It's a talent thing. It's a talent thing. The talent of Mississippi State's players, from what I've seen, look group of 5-esque. And it's the truth. Like, they lost a lot of seniority. They had a very senior defense last year. They lost a lot of, like Griffin, Lightitrick Griffin. They lost speed. They lost star players that have been there for multiple years. And the guys they have don't really move the meter for me. And I did the analysis. They might have the worst offensive line in the SEC. They might have some of the most, the most average running backs I've seen, stuff like that. So I'm not impressed with it. It doesn't look like an SEC offense. It doesn't look like you should be afraid of them if you're playing them from another conference. Now, scheme, great. Come in, do your thing, right? You're bringing in your Oklahoma scheme, go do it, man. But you don't have those pieces. So that's how I feel about it. Hey, Rico, thoughts on Devin Dampier, quarterback, New Mexico? Yeah, so I looked at some tape on him because they told me he was winning the spring quarterback battle, and he looks like a player, man. He looks like a player. Dual threat kid. Is he an FCS transfer? Division II transfer, West Georgia, right? Yeah, he looks exciting, man. I worry that I think he only had 900 yards passing last year and 400 yards rushing. So I worry about the lack of production at a smaller level. But there's athleticism there, and you want to get excited about that kind of stuff. I'm not in front of my computer to Google anything. I'm just talking. I appreciate the question of an obscure person nobody knows about. But I did some studying on him last week, 2 weeks ago. So saw what I needed to see. Looks like a little more exciting decision than Dylan Hopkins from last year coming over from UAB. But we'll see. Thoughts on the Gamecocks replacement for Spencer Rattler? Goggles, bro. Lenora Sellers is him. Shout out to Lenora Sellers. I think he is the future. I've already told you guys. When I look at South Carolina, and I don't know how to say this to anybody without hurting their feelings, I look at South Carolina, I see a bowl team, man. I see a bowl team. I look at those wide receivers, that running back room, revitalized offensive line. The defense is stout. They got a bunch of transfers from Pitt. They got a lot of good linebackers. They lost one. He went back home to Mississippi. But they got a bunch of good linebackers. I like them. I like their ability to move the ball. Now, if Lenore Sellers comes out and, deer in the headlights because it's his first time starting, whatever, man. I think they got pieces. I like South Carolina. Shout out to the Gamecocks. Also, Devin Dampier is another athlete featured on AJ Green's channel, a.k.a. the dude who showcased Mikey Matthews. Yeah, so AJ Green reached out to me last year when I talked about Mikey Matthews, and he just told me, you're spot on. And isn't it crazy? Isn't it weird? I don't see any of those content creators. I don't see any of those other channels or lists. I focus on my life, bro. And I make my content, and I just study. And then when I'm studying film and I'm studying players, I'll look up and I'll make a video when I see something that intrigues me. And then somebody will write to me and go, oh my God, Rico, Steve Smith said this. Oh my God, so-and-so said this about the player you just talked about. It's really unique. It's really gratifying when people who do this same job and profession like I do, when they see it for what it is and we're all on the same page. But I don't need them to validate me. Like, I believe in it. I believe in what I'm doing way before them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really like what I'm doing. I like where I'm at. So we're out here. We're getting it right every day. And even when the NFL teams don't believe in me, I believe in me. I know I'm getting it right. So thank you guys for watching the channel and believing in me too. Dampier was a true freshman. Yeah. I see it incredibly group of five focused. Expecting Blake Shapen, Kelly Akari, and Devon Booth to be the same as Xavier Worthy and Quinn Ewers is absurd. Different levels of talent, but in the SEC, while Kelly and Devon Booth are decent, it's going to be tough. So here's the thing. Before we go and start ripping transfers from UTEP, Utah State, and Baylor, let me explain something to you guys. As a college coach, he has one responsibility, Levy does. That is improve my 85. Improve my 85 scholarship players to the best of my ability. You might not think those are the best players and they're good enough to win in the SEC. Mississippi State does not believe they're the best players and they're good enough to win in the SEC. Those are the best players they could convince to come to their school. It's not like they didn't offer Rashad Amos. It's not like they didn't offer other star players, Kevin Coleman and whatnot. It's not like they didn't offer other good players. Those players just went to the highest bidder. They went to other teams. They didn't value playing time. Rashad Amos would rather be fourth string at Ole Miss than the starting running back at Mississippi State. That's the reality of the situation, man. That's it. So people just need to don't blame the coaching staff. They're not sitting there saying, oh, we got good enough players. We're here to win with these guys. No, they're getting the best they can. And they're not bad players. I've been on Devon Booth for 2 years now? I've been talking about him ever since he left JUCO. I talked about him all last offseason. Every single weekday game, when we got a chance and we were betting, I was like, hey, guys, Utah State, 3 running backs. 3 running backs. Trust all 3. And here we go. One of them is now in the SEC. I think I was right. That's the kind of stuff you got to pay attention to. While Kelly and Devon Booth are decent. Yeah. So, and it's just, you got to see where are you going to get your players from. There's a team out there. I'm going to tell you guys a team that is recruiting and trying to get certain players. Here's what you guys don't understand. FCS transfers do not cost a lot. FBS, all conference transfers, cost a lot. You're competing with a bunch of people for those players. But if you get an FCS transfer, you probably get them for $20,000, $10,000, $30,000. You might get them for free. So when you're in there competing for certain people, you got to go and scrape the barrel. The one team that I was thinking about that I was going to tell you about is Texas Tech. Their transfers and what they've been studying and recruiting are, by the way, Ash drinking from the fountain like a person. Come on, baby girl. She's always drinking from the fountain like a person. Good girl. Taught my dog how to drink from the bowl up top. But yeah, you look at those teams. The Texas Tech was out there recruiting Canada and really low-level football, trying to find guys that are super cheap. And you're getting guys on the cheap because you're spending money to get 5 stars in recruiting. So it's NIL-driven. It's salary cap-driven. Some of these teams are the Athletics. Some of these teams are the Yankees. It is what it is. Rico, you think Rich Rod and Jacksonville State come out firing again this year? So they play in Conference USA. And when I look at Conference USA, I think there's some terrible teams in Conference USA. Jacksonville State is missing so many parts to be competitive this year. It's really hard to explain to people. Their wide receiver room's deep. They got good receivers. They just don't throw the ball. Their quarterback room is gross. Quarterback room is disgusting, and they're telling me Logan Smothers is going to be the starting quarterback. They will lose a lot of games if they're playing Logan Smothers. Okay? They'll lose a lot of games. That's a Nebraska transfer. White guy can't play. Yes, they got the transfer from UConn. He can play a little bit. Running backs. They got a running back room loaded. A bunch of players. I like the running backs. That's what they're going to be doing. Their biggest issue is their defensive line. They lost 2 star defensive linemen. Their defensive tackle, best player, one of the best players on the team, and then Chris Hardy, the best player on the team. And Hardy just said, fuck it, I'm going to go play in the SEC, which is fine, but I think he's going to Ole Miss. I hope he works his way into the starting lineup. I hope he's ready. I love Chris Hardy. I just don't know if Ole Miss is going to love him the way I love him. Ole Miss don't care. They wanted to get 85 players, so they went and signed him. But Jacksonville State's missing all their best players. Just remember, guys, 2023 NFL draft, there were 22 group of 5 players drafted in the top 100. Or was that 2021? 2022 NFL draft. 2022. There were probably 20-something players drafted in the top 100 from group of 5. Last year, there was like 8. 8. All the NFL caliber group of 5 players are transferring to Power 5 schools. All of them. If you're an NFL caliber group of 5 player, you're transferring to the Power 5. So now getting drafted out of group of 5 is no longer happening in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft. You can still get drafted. You're just not going to get picked in the first 100 picks. So when you think about it like that, Jacksonville State just lost their starting running back to graduation, to, eligibility. And then they lost all their best players in the NFL. When you lose NFL caliber players, you're not the same team, man. And that sucks. I want them to win. They have a superior coach. I want them to do great things. But I don't know where they're going to be. I know that New Mexico State's going to be gross, terrible. I have Liberty winning the conference. I already told MVPs to bet on that. I told them to parlay it with a couple other conference champs that I believe in. But yeah, Jacksonville State, hope they're building something great. Hope they got the cupboard full of recruits and players that they're finding, because they're going to lose their best players to other teams. They're the Expos, bro. They're going to just be, and if you're too young to remember the Expos used to just develop players and then let them go to other teams. That's what Jacksonville State's doing. That's what every group of 5 team's doing for the most part. They're developing good players and letting them go to other teams. So it's the reality of the situation. Money talks. Cindy says, hi, Rico, have a nice day. Thank you very much. Thoughts on Centarian Perkins, Ole Miss linebacker? Pretty good, man. I rated him. I think I rated the Ole Miss linebacker room a 9 on a scale from 1 to 10. I might have gave them a 10. Got to double check. They got the young kid from Arkansas who was second on the team in tackles among linebackers. They got a team, man. Ole Miss, to me, Ole Miss is a top 5 team and one of the most talented teams in the country. Just offense and defense. I don't see a lot of teams better than Ole Miss. I really don't. I mean, it's all subjective. If you think somebody's better than Ole Miss, like Oregon, Ohio State, Alabama, Miami, there's some really talented teams this year. When you break down the roster, when you look at the players, there's some really talented teams. It's something else. Texas, but Ole Miss is right there. Georgia, did I not mention Georgia? I think I can mention them all. Seems South Florida is really trying to make a push for improving football, for sure, with the new stadium. Improved facilities, and is the key going to be keeping goalish, or is location in Tampa enough to be like UCF? No, location doesn't really matter. South Florida has been in Tampa for 30 years, right? For 25 years. So that's irrelevant. Location doesn't really matter. What matters is stability in your coaching staff, continuity, and then you need like a senior quarterback, right? If you want to be good, you need a quarterback in his final year of eligibility. Look at Memphis. Seth Hennigan, final year. If you want to be a great Group of 5 team, you need a quarterback that's been around, going to stick around, and going to lead you. So Byron Brown, I mean, they got an incredible quarterback. Whoa. Holy smokes, that bird hit me on my shoulder, bro. What the hell? Yo, that really happened. I ain't never had no bird hit me on the shoulder with his wing. Yo, what'd I do to that dude? So what I'm saying is South Florida needs to keep Byron Brown for another year. Like, he's going to be good this year, and I'm sure Auburn's going to come calling. I'm sure one of these top programs is going to come get this kid, and you need to fight to keep him however you can. Talk to your boosters, whatever it is. If they keep him for another year, then they'll be good. This year, they'll probably be okay. But that's the whole key is, you got to just keep your team together. Keep it together. Hey, Rico, I saw you were high on Missouri's safety room. Can you explain why, please? Yeah, man, Dylan Carnell. When I watch Dalen Carnell, when I watch him on tape, he's special, bro. That's it. Dalen Carnell, he's special. I think I look at Missouri. Their corners, they just picked up Torian Pride, transfer, multi-year starter from Clemson. So when you start seeing other pieces on the defense that are going to make it easier for your safeties to read, react, make plays, like a good pass rush will always help your secondary, right? There'll be a bad pass and it'll be a turnover. Just watch. Missouri's real, bro. The only secondary I like more as a whole is Iowa State. Iowa State's entire secondary is the bee's knees to me. I love Iowa State's secondary. Them guys, Purchase, Jeremiah Cooper. Like, I watched so much tape on Iowa State, I believe they're going to win the damn national title with how much I've watched Iowa State. They are so good. Just something to think about. They got roasted by Memphis, but I've sat down and really just studied their tape. And I'm telling you, man, Iowa State, you guys better pay attention. I get excited thinking about some of these defenses. But yeah, Missouri has a great safety. And when you have one great safety, I'm rating safeties, you immediately become one of the top. So, like Purdue, for example, with Dylan Thieneman, I just think he's so amazing. I think he's an NFL safety, playing in college, right? Dylan Thieneman on all my boards is the number 3 safety. It's Malachi Starks, Caleb Downs, then Dylan Thieneman. People don't understand. He plays at Purdue. Ryan Walters coaching that kid, and that kid's amazing. So, got to watch the film. Got to see the superstar he is, and how the recruiting websites try to tell you he was 3 stars is insane. This damn snow cone truck is blocking my car. I can't even leave if I wanted to. Sorry, y'all. I'm scratching myself here. The most physical press coverage you've seen recently in college. Would the grind in the summer be tougher as a high school football player in the south of Georgia or the high desert of California where you played? So, I didn't play in the high desert. I played in the low desert. The low desert is far... Say again? Yeah, you can pet her. Go ahead, Mom. She's very friendly. Good girl.
We used to have a pit bull, but we gave it away because it's too mean.
Oh, she's not mean at all.
Well, our pit bull was trying to attack, so we had to give it to like somewhere.
Nope, leave that alone. Yeah, my little girl, she's a good girl.
She's cute.
Yep, her name is Ash.
We have one little Chihuahua and another a rat terrier and another dog, and we got a little kitten at home.
Man, why you guys got a Chihuahua, man? What's your Chihuahua's name?
Cheeky.
Cheeky?
Yeah.
Way to live up to the stereotype. That's cool, man. Cheeky. Who got Cheeky? Your mom or your dad?
My mom.
Of course. Of course. Well, Ash wants to say bye.
Bye.
What's your name, little man?
Tastin.
Kason?
Tastin.
Kasten. Thank you for saying hi to my puppy. Okay, come on, mamas. Little dude out here. Anyways, back to what I was saying. Oh, the grind. Yeah. So I played in Indio, California and La Quinta, California. I went to 2 different high schools. You can check the temperature today. Check the temperature in Indio, California today. I have no idea what it is. Check the temperature for the whole week in Indio, California right now. It's so much brutal. Like, it's not realistic how hot it is. Like, you never get used to that heat. Like, people always say, how do you get used to it? We're human beings, bro. We're Homo sapiens. We didn't evolve. We didn't get used to it. We just we just go inside and use the air conditioner. You don't get used to the cold. You just wear more layers of clothing. You just have a better jacket, right? I grew up, I didn't even have a jacket, I don't think. So 111 all week in Indio. Yeah, bro, I'm telling you. And that's probably nice and fresh for them because it's not 120. I'm not joking. That shit is outrageous. I grew up in 120 degree heat and played football in it every year. The gel in my hair would burn my eyes. And we would have practice at like 6 a.m. We never had practice during the day like this. No. I don't know when it was. It was like 6 a.m. You would do 2 a days. You would be at practice at 6 and be done by 8, and then you'd come back at night. You can't be practicing with the sun up. Like, that's not real. Everything hurts. The sun will kill you, bro. Ladies fall in the street and die because they can't get back up. True story. So, anyways, see where we're at. Most physical press that I've seen recently. Oh my goodness, on tape, it's this guy Zero. Zero is the best. That's his nickname. He plays at Illinois. Chase Canada, JUCO transfer. Best press coverage I've seen from a corner. Came out of Trinity Valley JUCO. All the Trinity Valley DBs. There's one, his brother's at TCU. But these guys are monsters pressing. Shout out to their coach and everything they're doing. But that's the best press I've seen all offseason. Really, I think that whoever that DB coach is at Trinity Valley, he needs to be hired by an FCS program and a Division II. He needs to be hired by somebody. He needs to move up. They need to figure that out because I think he's that good. And remember, this is coming from me, guys. I was a football coach. I think I'm one of the best coaches in the world. And I understand that there's people who don't understand that or don't know that. The bird again almost hit me, bro. Same bird. He got beef with me, bro. Beef with me. He came back and he did it again. Dude's got beef with me. So I have a really good eye for coaching. I can notice when a player's been coached properly, technique-wise, scheme, whatever it is, and I value some of those coaches more than others. I think I'm a good assessment of coaches for sure. It's my mindset. Shout out to me. Pat myself on the back. Surprise Chase Canada didn't follow his brother. Yeah, hey, you want to go to Illinois? Are their receivers good at beating the press? LOL now. Well, I don't know. I only watch, when I go to watch a specific player, I watch one side of the ball. I did not look for any Trinity Valley offensive players. I was only watching defensive plays. It's how I can watch games so fast. Like, people will say to me, there's no way you watched that game. And it's like, yes, I did, bro. Just the other day, I was assessing defensive end from Akron. And I was assessing all his tape. I watched the whole season on Akron because all I had to do was watch defensive plays, and I'm looking for 93, a white kid on the defensive line. He's not in, I can fast forward it. And I'm watching at a 2.0 speed, and I can find his sacks, his tip passes, his tackles, his good plays, his bad plays. It's really easy when you are organized and you've done it so many times, right? You just do the muscle repetition is there. Like, my muscle memory on watching film is crazy because right now I've been doing it with the UFC. I'll go to a fight card. I've watched all the fights again. I'll watch somebody's, you guys can see me on TikTok Live. I'll do it. If you watch me on TikTok Live, you will hear in the background, I'm watching all kinds of shit at 2.0 speed. And it's just a bunch of processing and data collection on my part. It's how I get down. Yep. Carnell plays the star. Then they have Charleston and Tevez Johnson or Marvin Burks, I believe. Yeah, that's cool. I'm just letting you know what I see on tape. Not too worried. You know, it all depends on the scheme. You guys always ask these questions, and it always depends on the coaching scheme. What do they run? Do they run a 4-2-5 defense or a 3-3-5 defense? You know, whatever it is. So they'll name shit different stuff, man. San Diego State, for example, has some Aztec position, and they got all these weird names. I don't worry about none of that. I just watch the tape, and if you lined up in the slot, you're a nickel corner. If you're, too deep, you're a safety. Like, I just watch the defense. I don't know what terminology they use. So, yeah, if he's a star, more power to him. I don't know none of that stuff. I try not to worry about that, but more power to him. Why are people so confident in Evan Stewart and put him above receivers actually put up numbers? What am I missing? Kairos, you're missing nothing, bro. I'm in the same boat as you are. I don't understand the hype behind Evan Stewart and why everybody's gassing him. It's like his agent paid the recruiting websites to talk about him and declare him the best receiver in the portal. That's what it is. Because nothing he's done on a Saturday warrants this type of conversation. Kobe Young's better. There's other people that look better on tape. I don't know what all that's about. That's a prime example of a player that they went and identified and labeled. Ash wants to go run with these girls are racing each other, and she wants to go run with them. But I got her on a leash. But yeah, you're right on it. Good player. No really stellar wide receivers at A&M to begin with. You go watch tape at A&M, and I don't think any of those guys could start at Georgia Tech. I just look at wide receivers all day long. When I do a wide receiver review, I will sit down and watch every wide receiver group. Go to each team. Just start looking at all their routes, what they do, how they break, how they set up their DBs, how they stem on their routes. I look at a number of things. And as I'm watching them, I'm like, okay, you tell me this guy's special? Like, that guy ain't shit. And then you go check the websites or something, and they'll tell you so-and-so's the greatest they've ever seen. And you just be like, what the fuck, dude? What are they talking about? They don't know what they're talking about. They don't have a clue what they're talking about. Remember, DJ Uiagalelei, for years, was the number 2 quarterback in his class. And now they act like it didn't happen. Now they act like they didn't say it. He was the number 2 quarterback in his class. It was Bryce Young, DJ Uiagalelei, and CJ Stroud. DJ Uiagalelei ain't in the top 20 quarterbacks right now. And everybody in his class has already been drafted. That was NFL caliber. So how bad did they miss? They missed tremendously, right? And they won't admit it. They miss all the time. So they're missing on this receiver, bro. I'm sure he'll play great because he's at Oregon. I'm sure he'll play great and get drafted in the 4th round. That's my bigger issue. You're the star Oregon wide receiver. When do you get drafted? 4th round. I would still consider Carnell a safety. I would consider him a safety because I talked to him and he told me he's a safety. He and his father follow the channel. I talk to them on Twitter and TikTok DMs. So I know them pretty well. I know of them pretty well. Come here. Get some water, mamas. Water. Water. In fact, I saw Evan Stewart ranked over Torrey Horton. Yeah, absolutely insane. When the defensive rankings coming out? It might take me at least 3 days, probably in 2 weeks. I have about 30 days before the football season. They're probably going to come out right before then. Have them ready for a podcast at some point. Defense is a little harder than offense. Like I said, there's no skill, there's no stats for some of these players who haven't played, so you have to go back and do a lot of deep digging. and it's not as pretty. Like, I'll give you an example. A lot of the DBs, when you go back and watch their huddle film, they were high school quarterbacks and running backs. So it's hard to get a good grasp of who they are as players if they haven't played at the collegiate level. Stuff like that. Some of the linebackers are running backs, things like that. So it's tough, man. It's a tough one. But it's a daunting task that I'm willing to take. And it doesn't really matter. I just have to do as much research as humanly possible so I have a better grasp of the position group matchups. Good job, mamas. You know what I'm saying? So just working hard on it. UNLV football is going to be awesome this year. Sluka about to set the world on fire. Intriguing matchups with Kansas and Syracuse. Yeah, I don't like their matchups with Kansas. Syracuse is intriguing. I wonder what the spread's going to be against Syracuse. But UNLV's pretty loaded. And Sluka doesn't have the greatest passing acumen, but he can actually run the rock. So he can get himself out of trouble. I like that a lot. So I'm cool with that one. Looking forward to it. Yeah, the defensive rankings. Yeah, hopefully it's not another 3-hour show. People don't like the 3-hour podcast, although they watch them. They watch them after hours. The 3.5-hour podcast when I talk about every single team in America. There's no quick way to do it when you're talking about every team in America. But I also don't want to just skim off the top and only talk about the top 25, because then you exclude way too many teams. My puppy's out here floundering, bro. She's crazy. I'm sweating bad. I was supposed to go grab dinner before this walk, and then we decided to come out here and do the walk first. I saw no dogs at the park, and since she's in heat right now, I wanted to give her a chance to get out here with no dogs bugging her. Because anytime she's in heat, man, these boy dogs just want to hump her bones. And we ain't doing that. We ain't having no mutts. It would be nice to breed her with something and sell the puppies. But I know that the reality is we probably won't sell them. We'll just keep them. And I'll be raising a whole damn crew of dogs. Those late in the night podcasts are clutch. Struggle with staying asleep. Hey, well, I try to do it on a night when you guys don't have to wake up the next morning. You know, I did it Friday night. I'm the one, let me explain this to you guys. I'm out here. Information is burning a hole in me, bro. I want to talk to you guys about stuff. I come across stuff all the time and want to make a video about it. I know I'm making 3 videos today before I go to bed. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I get excited. But it's Friday. I don't have any concept of what day of the week it is or what time it is because I work for myself, you know? Full-time content creator. This is what I do. This morning, I was working with my agent this morning. He's asking me for some products and some information. And I was working with him this morning, and I didn't even even though I'm working for myself, even though it's just information he needs for me, I don't even like doing it. It felt like he's like, hey, Rico, I need the following products, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, man, I just don't have it. I just don't like doing it. I did it. It only took me like 20 minutes, but still, I have this affinity for freedom, for autonomy. So I just kind of just do what I want to do. I know football season's coming. I know I got to start doing my podcast consistently at 5 p.m. And I know once it starts, it never stops. I know I get no breaks. And I got UFC that I'm going to do at the same time because we don't miss on UFC, so I can't give it up. And I know that that's UFC's my meal ticket season round, year round. So all the football fans that show up for football season, it's great. The influx in revenue is great. But I know that I'm better off keeping my UFC fans because they're year-round fans, and that's year-round revenue. You can only stretch, football content so far. So that's pretty cool. Shout out to the Patreon and the MVPs. Is it hard to unplug? I feel like it's tough when you have so many ideas and information together. It's so hard when I come up with an idea that I want to share with the world. I'll give you an example. During January through April, really, I do high school film reviews. And it's 2 videos a day on TikTok. I want to just disconnect and live my life. And I still have to find time to do those 2 videos a day because people are paying for it. And I have to remind myself, it's worth it. It's worth it for the kid. It's worth it for me. It's worth it for the channel. Do it. But my God, does it take energy out of me. Sometimes I'm not up for it. Sometimes you never want to do a high school film review and you're low energy. You're not motivated. And it's not false motivation. It's just you're genuinely just not in the mood at that moment, you know? And you got to be up to it. So a kid will make a great tackle and I'll just be like, oh, good tackle. It's not the same as saying, oh my God, just took his lunch money. Holy shit, you know what I'm saying? So that is tough, just to stay consistent with the project. But who determined that I would do 2 a day and do the top 2 bids every single day? I did. And because I made that determination, it could have, you know, it could go the wrong way. It could go in a way where it's not like it's overworking me. Why couldn't I just say 1 a day and make it easier on myself? But I don't do that. Or NFL draft reviews where I do 1 every single day for each team. You know, that's just not the way it goes. It's just frustrating in that regard. So when you make up projects and you got to stick to them, you know what I'm saying? Afternoon. Doing amazing. My baby girl, she's the nicest dog in the park. Thank you. People get nervous. You got to be loud because they don't want to be near your dog. They all clutching their pearls. They all think your pit bull's going to bite them. So yeah, I just push myself sometimes with the projects and make it hard. That's why, like this year, I didn't do my top 50 transfers. I didn't do my top 25 new head coaches. Like I didn't do a bunch of videos like the projects I did last year. You know, and then I've shifted a lot of my content to Twitter and YouTube instead of TikTok. So that really helps me because I don't want to make videos for TikTok. Like I don't even want to be on that platform. It doesn't really do anything for me. I only make troll videos on TikTok. I don't really do anything informative on TikTok. I haven't done that for months and they haven't caught on. Like people will write, Rico, you changed. Or people will write like, what's this, Unc? Like, what is this shit, man? Where's the informative video? It's like, if you haven't found YouTube and Patreon and TikTok by now, I'm sorry, Twitter, I really don't want you rocking with me because I don't rock with you. I don't like casual fans anyways. I really don't. That's real. Because casual fans will never be MVPs, so I'm good. I'm not about getting views and clicks, and I'm not chasing any of that shit. Yeah, that's not my idea of fun. He never unplugs. Hey, there's Kim. I try to unplug, but even when we're on vacation, I'm going to check my phone probably 3-4 times a day. It's, you know, some of you guys will be like, hey, Rico, you got to unplug. It's healthy to unplug and all this. Remember, this is the way I generate revenue. This is the way I make a living. I'm paranoid about, no, let me rephrase. I am infatuated with growth. And whether that be channel growth, revenue growth, information. Like, you know, there was kids growing up who, like, if they came across an idea, maybe a subject, they would go to the library and read every book on that subject. That's me, bro. That's me. Yes, I'm an athlete. Yes, I was a jock and all that stuff. But I have just such a thirst for knowledge. I'll give you guys an example. One day, I wanted to learn about moose. Nobody talks about moose. Nobody knows about moose. Moose in northern Canada. And I just started reading and gathering as much information about moose as I possibly could. Just something I did. And I came across some information like it's the second largest land-based mammal in the world on land. And then I saw that it gets eaten by killer whales. Shamu eat moose. How? Right? And it turns out the frozen islands up in Canada, the moose will swim from one island to the other up there in the Arctic Circle. And while they're swimming from one island to the next, fucking Free Willy will come up and eat one of them. That's the type of stuff that I'm learning for my thirst for knowledge. Now, when you apply that to sports, I'm the same way. And this is what makes me unique, is like I can retain it all. And then I deliver it in a coherent manner. Good job, mamas. Come on. She wants to quit. So that's kind of my bag, bro. Is like gathering information and doing stuff. So that's why I don't unplug. I'm always learning. I'm always gathering information, and I'm addicted to that information gathering. I don't really care about clicks or attention. I don't really give a flying. Man, I've worked 3 hours on a tweet that was liked by 12 people. Don't care. One day, somebody's going to be able to search it, go back and see that I made that prediction and I made those rankings and I did that thing, and that's why I do it. I do it for myself, for future reference, for later. I don't really care about the clicks, the clout. None of that moves me. It doesn't even matter. Like, I make my money by being accurate. I make my money by being, correct. That's all. Finally made the plunge to join the MVPs on Patreon. Shout out to David. Shout out to you, Rico. Shout out to David Pitton, man. I appreciate you. People are believing in the movement. We're getting MVPs every single day. I really appreciate everybody who becomes an MVP. I've made at least 800 videos, MVPs only. So you got to go dig. Once you become an MVP, I can only imagine what it's like. If you did it on Patreon, you got to just sit there and just sift through Patreon and just find all the videos in the world and just watch them all. You go on a fucking Rico Knows marathon of information and videos. The casual fans have no clue how much effort I put into those. The MVPs do, and that's why they don't leave. It's a good feeling. So, anyways, this episode has now been going for 45 minutes. I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks for talking. Thanks for the casual conversation. I'm going to take the dog home. We're sweating pretty bad out here. Grab some dinner on my way home. Haven't decided what I want to eat for dinner. I was thinking something healthy like McDonald's. It's going to be something. I can't get out the car because I don't want to leave the dog by herself. So, it is what it is. When you rank offenses and defenses, do you consider the scheme and the coaches or purely the talent of the players? Martin, I consider the talent of the players only. I will apply the scheme and the coaching factor, as you will, when they're in certain matchups. For example, if you're going up against a specific team and you have a coaching advantage, I will then apply it. If you don't have the coaching advantage, it doesn't matter what it is, right? So I don't apply it every single time. Sometimes what I'll tell you is that I take a mental note, and I talked about this on the podcast when I was doing the offensive rankings. If you watch the podcast, I talked about it. There are some coaches that do more with their players. Like, they do more with their rating, right? So if you got a team that's a 46 on offense versus another team that's 46 on offense, one coach is doing a lot better with his players than the others. That's one of those things that I talk about. So it's kind of in me. I don't have to put it in the metric or the formula on the spreadsheet because I already know who the coaches are. I actually don't even have to learn. I just know who they are. I mean, it's just a lifetime of... If there's one thing that's consistent in college football, it's these guys are going to be coaching for many, many years at different locations. So I don't have to... It's not like new recruits where you got to learn all the new recruits. Coaches will move schools, but I already know it's that same coach bringing his same style, Sometimes I get it wrong, though. Last year, I really believed in Texas Tech coaching, and they laid an egg. So sometimes I get it wrong. I was wrong about Texas Tech. I was wrong about Missouri. And I couldn't have been more wrong about those two teams. Good job, sweetie. Man, we're sweating bad. Kona ice out here. All right, y'all. I'm about to call it a day. Good to see you, Rico. What up, Armin? I've been getting my futures bets in. I'm itching for week 0. I'm rewatching games from last season. Shout out to you, man. I do that all off season, so nothing new. Ash, say hi, mamas. Say bye. All right, y'all. Yeah, man, we're ready for next season. Hopefully we get it right from the jump. Peace.